I want to touch on this comment because honestly, it can be a lot to figure out, and I totally understand what you're saying. My biggest tip of advice is to get a dietitian, because that way there's someone that you can ask all the questions you need to, and they can help lead you in the right direction. But also, I want to say, just because you just got a diagnosis does not mean that you have to make all the changes in a week or one day or a month. Honestly, it had taken me like a year, if not 2 years, to fully get to the point where everything I was eating was completely gluten-free. I just struggled giving up some things, and it's hard, especially if you get diagnosed a lot later in life. I mean, I was still a teenager, so I feel like that's pretty early compared to some people, but still, I did struggle cutting out everything. Now, obviously, the faster you cut everything out, the faster you're going to start to feel better, because that is the only remedy or treatment. Now, I will say, in today's age, there are a lot of gluten-free substitutions for everything, I feel like, at this point. So it is a lot easier, I feel like, and it shouldn't be too hard, but still, it is a huge adjustment. I will say 1-to-1 all-purpose gluten-free flour is going to be your best friend. It works the same as normal flour. So if you have a recipe that needs 2 cups of flour, you're still just going to put 2 cups of flour, just gluten-free 1-to-1. If it says 1-to-1 on it, that means it has all the stuff in it to work the same way that normal flour would work. But that also does not mean it's going to taste the same, because a lot of times things are really gritty because there's not that wheat binding in the flour to really hold it together as well. Reading the labels is what you're going to have to do on everything. After a while, you'll kind of start to know what has gluten and what doesn't. But for example, this says gluten-free right here, so I know I can eat it. And Google is going to be your best friend. Like, I don't really eat out a lot, but if you are going to eat out, do your research. Just use Google and really research about the restaurant, wherever you're eating. Something says gluten-free on a menu, it does not necessarily mean it's celiac safe just because it says gluten-free. So you really want to look into that too, because it could, cross-contamination is a big thing too. You want to make sure that you have your own like toaster, waffle maker, any of those type of appliances, air fryer. Now, they told me in the beginning that I shouldn't even use the same oven and microwave because gluten absorbs into the vents of them. But I honestly have no issue with that either. Meal prepping and making all your own food is the best way to do it, because you can really tell if it has gluten or not. Also, you want your own colander. You want your own wooden utensils. Do not use wooden utensils of any kind that have gluten on them, because the gluten does absorb into the wood of the utensil, and you're not going to ever get it out. I will also touch on the point, like, I have a dog. He eats a gluten-free food, and his treats are all gluten-free, because we did learn very quick that me just touching his food and feeding him was also making me sick. So you also have to think about that factor too. And I do promise over time it will get easier and easier, because it will just become your new lifestyle and you will adapt and adjust over time. Oh, and last thing, and cutting boards are a big thing too. You don't want to have any gluten touch the cutting boards that you're using, because it absorbs into the little cuts and you'll never get it out fully. And I have no problem answering any other questions that you might have, but I hope this video helps you.